Dave Scott, Hub Media. It's our December show with Bobbi and Brady, MPP for Haldeman Norfolk. How are you?
I've had better weeks. I've been down and out with some sort of virus, Dave, and I can't ever remember being this kind of down and out for so long. It's got a hold of me and doesn't want to let go. So
I got to say thanks for your toughness and taking the time to do the show today. You probably should be resting, but you're still, Haldeman Norfolk comes first, obviously.
Well, when you're a type A, it's hard to just lay down all the time.
I want to ask about a photo I saw. I think it was done at your office last week or the week before.
Mm-hmm.
You and the MP and you and a couple mayors. How did that go?
Really good. I thought it was important to pull all the ladies together. And I think I would have done this despite who became mayor in either county. And I think that the importance of that photo is to show the people of both Haldeman and Norfolk counties that the four of us have to work cooperatively. We may not always politically agree on items, but we have to work with a spirit of cooperation, and we all agreed to do that. One of the things that I made very clear during the provincial campaign, and I think I did it at the Simcoe Chamber All Candidates Night, is I made it very clear that, as a county, if you were putting forward an idea to the province or to the federal government, my goodness, you better have your local MPP or MP know that project is there. If you find out about it as the local representative walking the halls of, Queen's Park, that doesn't bode well for the county, right? The more people who can advocate for your idea, the more people who are pushing it forward and speaking positively about it, the more chances you have of getting support at a higher level. So I impressed that upon the two mayors as well, and they both, agreed that was very important. So, I think that there's some good changes, and across both councils, and there's some real hardworking people sitting around the table, and I think that we can move forward with that spirit of cooperation.
It's such a good example because the diversity of personality, and political views with the four of you, it shows that things can get done. And I thought that was the relevant message here. That, you know what, look, four of us are getting together. We need to start talking about things and understand exactly what Haldeman Norfolk needs.
Absolutely. And
kudos.
That's the reason you should run for public office, right? Is because you love your community and you want to see good things happen for your community.
Yeah.
So, I think all four of us, that's the common bond, is that we all want to do good things for our community. And, if you're in public office for any other reason, I think you're going to disappoint yourself and you're going to disappoint a lot of other people. So, I think that all four of us are there for the right reasons, and I think we can get a lot done.
It's just so folks know, Shelley Ann Bentley, Haldeman Mayor, Amy Martin, Norfolk Mayor, and Leslie Lynn Lewis, the MP for Haldeman Norfolk, all got together and had a photo. And I think that's up on Facebook if you want to check it out. And I thought it was a really good opportunity to sort of show that there is a common bond and things need to get progressing in Haldeman Norfolk. Thanks for doing that. Awesome. I want to move on, and I won't keep you long. I want to talk about the provincial government's fall economic statement that just came out. And there's some interesting stuff in there. And first, give me your thought. I mean, you wrote a great column on it. It's out on your website. Folks, you can check that out. But I want to get your insights on it because there's a couple areas I want to dive into, but I'm going to let you speak first to it.
Mm-hmm. So, there was no surprises in the fall economic statement. I think it was quite conservative. No new healthcare spending, no new education spending. It was quite conservative. And if you actually read between the lines in my column, I say that Ontario was bracing for a slowdown. And, all the economists are saying that 2023, we're going to see a slowdown. But 2 weeks prior, I think it was, the Auditor General released, the FAO released a report that actually said Ontario was doing far better than what they said they were. So there's some reserve funds that are in question, and I'll delve into that at some other point, probably in a column But there was nothing really spectacular in the fall economic statement. I mean, there was no mention of agriculture or food. The focus continues to be the building of all these houses, 1.5 million new houses over the next 10 years. And I'm just, I'm like a broken record with this. I'm just so concerned about it. I think that it's very short-sighted. We're going to have baby boomers who are going to be downsizing, and what's going to happen with all those homes. And again, it goes back, when we first went to Queen's Park back in August, they spoke about, this apocalyptic scenario where, our healthcare is in shambles and we have all these problems and we don't have enough houses, but yet we're still bringing people to Ontario. And they said it again in the fall economic statement. And I just think to myself, I don't understand this. Where is the common sense? Why would we continue to bring people to a province with broken systems? Some of our most integral systems, healthcare. If you don't have healthcare, what do you have? If your education system is in chaos, why would you bring families here and subject them to that type of atmosphere? I always use the analogy that when the elevator's full, you don't keep cramming people in until people get off the elevator. I think we have to take stock and we have to fix our systems before we can bring more people here and say, hey, come to Ontario. It's the land of opportunity, because right now it's not. It's in chaos. And I get it that we have a labor gap to fill, but that's a whole other subject. I've got some opinions on that. One of the good things in the fall economic statement, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about it because I have advocated for a long time, is that they kind of ended the clawback on ODSP clients. And, ODSP clients are on disability due to no fault of their own. And some of those folks want to work, but there's no incentive to work because the government takes their extra earnings, so they can't get ahead. And so I've always said, why are we penalizing people who can go out there and work 15 to 20 hours a week? They can help fill some of those labor gaps that we're seeing, those, signs on the Queensway that say help wanted. If you're somebody on disability, you may not be able to work 40 hours a week, but maybe you can work 15. That helps the employer. That also helps you get ahead, right? So I was very happy to see that. I was disappointed that tying ODSP rates to inflation. I would have liked to have seen that immediately because people are really suffering right now, but we're not going to see that until July 2023. So, it was partially good news in that respect. So.
And what it means basically is if they're, maybe explain that, because if they're making X amount of dollars doing a part-time job, they're now allowed to make X amount more and still keep their disability, correct?
Yeah. So they can make, I think it's up to $1,000 before the clawback begins now. That's excellent. Well, and that's not even enough to live on. So nowhere near. And,
so,
one of the things that they've got to stop too is the fact that they can't have any assets, right? So, you should be able to have a car. You should be able to have things, that other people have the opportunity to have. You're not on disability because you choose to be on disability. You're there, due to no fault of your own. So I don't understand why we penalize these folks.
I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I do want to talk about no new funding for healthcare. And you and I had this conversation on our last show. What the heck are they thinking? You got all these, our system is blatantly in trouble with our healthcare. You need more doctors, you need more nurses. And now I'm at a loss. Why don't they see this? Explain to me why the government doesn't understand the value of healthcare or why it's not a top priority.
I don't get it either. There's so many things. I don't even know where to start. I'm not sure that more money is the answer because we spend more and more money on systems like healthcare and education every single year, and yet we don't see any improvements. In fact, in healthcare, we see regression. So I think we need to figure out where the money's going, because it's apparently not going to the right places, because the front lines aren't seeing improvement. I'm frustrated by the fact that I still think that there are doctors out there who aren't working. I actually did, while I've been sick, couldn't get into my family doctor on holidays. And I did a telephone appointment with a doctor under something called Cover Health. And I just prayed. I put my health card number into this website, and I'm like, well, I hope nobody's stealing my health care number, my health card number. And a few hours later, Dave, I got a call from a doctor who was absolutely fantastic. And, she could hear me coughing and choking and everything else. And she gave me exactly what I thought I needed, puffers, because I am an asthmatic. And within 2-3 hours, I was already on my puffers. She had, called them into the pharmacy, and I was already on my way to being better. And so is that the way of the future, that we're going to just talk to a doctor on the telephone? I mean, it's not ideal, but to be honest, with the wait times that I'm seeing posted online, I was in no shape to go sit in an ER for 12, 14 hours. Number one, I'm going to catch something worse, or I'm going to infect somebody who doesn't have, something that I have. So I was like, well, this seems like a great option. And, she's making me better. So it's a good thing, but I can't help but think that some of these decisions that are being made are very purposeful. And I don't understand why. I don't understand what the end game would be, because it doesn't seem that the system is very convoluted, but it seems to me that money's not going to the right places. So why don't we stop that? Why don't we do an audit? Why don't we figure out what needs to change and make those changes? And I get it. Every single government, no matter what stripe you are, healthcare and education are always going to be the top two that nobody's happy with. But my goodness, this is Ontario, and our healthcare system is in absolute shambles. I don't get why the health minister has not called all of our healthcare workers back. I called on her a few weeks ago to do that. I said, you keep talking about all the things that you're doing, and I don't really see any progress. And I said, one of the things that we need frontline workers. And there's a whole bunch of them who have left because of Bill 124. They feel devalued, or they've been fired. It's time to put every qualified healthcare worker back on the front line. We need them, and we needed them a long time ago.
Do you talk to Norfolk General and the Haldeman Hospital as well? Have you talked to those guys, and how are they doing? What are they saying?
I hear from a lot of workers, to be honest, who tell me what they're seeing, and it's, they're very concerned that money is not going to the appropriate places as well.
Okay.
And frontline workers they're very frustrated, because they're, again, like I said before, if you're entering the political arena, it's because you want to serve your community. It's the same with healthcare workers. You enter that profession because you want to care for people. You want people to be, well taken care of. And so a lot of these workers will come to me, usually by private message, and, they want to make sure that what they're saying to me is confidential. And of course it is. And they've just had enough, and we can't lose anymore, right? We've lost those ones who were on the brink of retirement. Throughout the pandemic, they left because they said, why would I need this? Why do I need this in my life right now? I'm on the brink of retirement, and, I don't need this stress. So they've left. And the last thing we need is for, our younger nurses to also leave. We do have a problem with agencies in this province. Nurses will leave their hospitals and some of the institutions they're working at, and they join an agency. And there they actually have the opportunity to make more money, work less hours. It's more flexible. So a lot of our younger nurses are going to work for the agencies. Now, we've created a really bad situation with the agencies because now the hospitals can't function without the agencies, because the agencies now funnel workers
to the hospital. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess maybe it's a little more protection for the workers. I guess, I don't know. When you said that, then it all resonated. I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense. This is how this is another way that things are happening right now that I didn't really understand. Let's touch just for a little bit on the respiratory illness in young children going rampant all over the country, all over North America right now. Mm-hmm. And that's really where that bothers me. Like we got to do more there. To me, that should be the government's number one priority. When you see children suffering and we're not doing our jobs as community leaders and, as politicians, there's a problem. There's a big problem there. There's a huge disconnect between the society that, between the folks in Alderman Norfolk, for example, mm-hmm. and what's going on at Queen's Park. So, when you're banging on your platform there, telling these guys, like, do you feel like you're getting through to them a little bit? Like, how does that feel?
I don't know. I banged on them about Bill 28 and, that worked out kind of the way that I had suggested it should work out. But with respect to the RSV and everything else in our littles, it's heart-wrenching. I had the situation when my boy was 3. They couldn't figure out what he had. It was this time of year, exactly this time of year. And if I had to guess, it was either H1N1 or it was RSV. And we almost lost him. It was a very, very tough time. And I would have to drive him to London in the middle of the night. And as long as I could reach back and pump him full of Ventolin and get him to London, then I knew he would be in good hands. They were so good to him. But he lived on basically prednisone for 54 days straight. And he's been an asthmatic ever since. His lungs are damaged. And so I know what misdiagnosis does, because he was misdiagnosed for weeks and weeks and weeks, and the damage was done. And it breaks my heart to know that there are families who are going out there and, maybe this is their first child and, they're not willing to try some of the things that, parents who have 2-3 kids who have already been through these little childhood sicknesses, I plop the kids. I used to plop the kids in the bathtub when they had a fever and say, sit there until the fever comes down. If you're a new parent, you may not be comfortable with that. And now you can't go to the drugstore and you can't get ibuprofen or acetaminophen for your little. And then, you finally do see a doctor and they prescribe amoxicillin and you can't get that either. These parents must feel so helpless and so worried. And I don't get the shortage of these things. I mean, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, amoxicillin, we can get it for us. So it's not an ingredient problem, right? Because it's not a price problem ingredients. It's just less ingredients. Mm-hmm. So what's really going on here? It makes absolutely no sense to me. And it just seems so heartless that people aren't fixing this, aren't making this right. And this is only a problem here. There's no shortage of these things in the United States. And I did hear that there is a bit of a shortage across the border. Well, of course, because we have people going across the border from Ontario and buying things up in Buffalo and Niagara Falls, right?
I'm going to throw a bombshell in here. And again, if you don't want to answer, I understand totally. Are we on the verge of private healthcare? Is this where it's going?
A lot of people ask that question, and I'm not convinced of that, but we already do have private healthcare.
We do, but I mean, is the whole thing going to implode and that's all we have?
No, I don't see it. I don't think that's where we're going with this.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of people who are afraid of that. And then there are people who say, hey, listen, if I can go and pay for a doctor over there, that frees up a spot for you in the public system, right? So there are people who do embrace the idea. There is a hybrid model that Sorry. There's a hybrid model in Europe. We're going to have a cat and dog fight now.
This is Bobbi Ann's life at home, folks. We're getting a true MPP day here, right here. Hey, look, it's the liberals and the conservatives in the background going at it right now.
Goodness. It's just like being in the chamber. Oh my gosh.
And you're still trying to have control of the whole situation, aren't you?
They will all of a sudden just go right at it. But
well, you know what? They're getting it out of their system. It's good for them.
The Siamese cat, he sleeps all day until I get on a Zoom call or whatever. Then he's like, "Oh, look at me."
Yep, it's a typical cat, center of attention. Yeah. Sorry, cat lovers, not saying anything bad about cats, but yeah. So that's the reason I asked that, because you're seeing different types of situations, and I do believe there will be a hybrid of some sort. Yeah. It's just a matter of time. It really is on most fronts, and
that hybrid approach is embraced in Europe. Where they do have the hybrid approach, people do like it. It works well. I'm doing more research on that hybrid model, and stay tuned. I'll let you guys know what I find out when I do all that research. But something has to be done, because we are continuing to throw more and more money at a system that just continues to regress.
Bobbi, and I'm going to leave you because you're busy today. You've got your hands full.
The dog now has something in his mouth.
Quickly say, wish everybody happy holidays, whatever you want, because this is our December show. I'm not going to talk to you for a bit.
Oh my goodness, and I'm not very effervescent for Christmas. I do want to say that at the beginning, when I was still trying to clear all the cobwebs out of my head, I said the Auditor General had released a report. It was the Financial Accountability Office, the FAO. I just couldn't get that out of my brain. Anyway, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. I know that Christmas can be difficult for many people in our community, and there are a lot of people who are currently suffering in one way or another, whether it's financially, whether it's health-wise. And sometimes those people just want to be left alone. Other times it's really nice for us to reach out to those people and ask them if they want anything, if they need anything, and just let them know that we're thinking about them. And I'd like to say to anyone out there that if there's anything I can do in my role as the MPP to maybe help make your Christmas a little bit brighter, please reach out to my office, and we can do our very best. But Merry Christmas to everyone. I wish you all a great time with family and friends. And my favorite part of Christmas is always just sitting around the dinner table and reflecting on the days past, and maybe enjoying a glass of wine and having a few laughs. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thanks, Bobbi. You take care. Get feeling better, will you?
I'll try. Yeah. Thanks, Dave.